Reads Higurashi. So let's begin. I had a fun time. I don't know if you had a fun time, but I had a fun time because I love reading Rena and Keiichi's lines, and I love it when they're exchanging blows. It's amazing, and I love them. I love the Star Tsumihoroboshi. First it's beautiful, and then it's just plain fun. I just love it so much. I love this arc. It's my third favorite. It's what attached me to this series when I thought, I wouldn't like this. Wonder what the omake is. Okay. Okay. So, let's load chapter 2. Give me a moment. Give me a moment before we officially start. Oh my god, everything is like la 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 la. Give me a moment. Sorry that it's noisy. Let's start. I don't want to see any sweets for at least 3 days. Ugh.
You tried a little too hard, Keiichi.
Rena ate a massive amount of desserts too, but her stomach seemed to be just fine. I think girls have 4 stomachs, or at least an extra stomach for dessert.
It is very rude of you to say something like that to a lady. This is what you get for being rude.
Ow! Sadako had poked me very hard in my bloated stomach. Stop it! Please don't poke my stomach! I'm gonna throw up! Sadako and Rika grinned mischievously upon hearing that. A chill ran up my spine. Why were they smiling like that, walking toward me so gleefully? No! Stop it, you cold-blooded demons!
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you really think I let it slip away? Me. Your bloated tummy is in danger, Keiichi. Your big wiggly tummy is just so cute! Stop it! No!
Rena joined Sadako and Rika in torturing me. We were still making a lot of noise outside the restaurant. I desperately blocked my stomach from their attacks, but someone else hit me from behind. Ow! Who is it?
Hello!
Nice to see you, Kei-chan and his funny friends.
Oh, Shi-chan! Hello! You weren't at the restaurant today, were you?
I'm working night shift today. I just changed after getting here. How can you go outside the restaurant wearing that uniform? What? I'm not embarrassed, especially since you had to walk around in a way more embarrassing costume the other day. Damn it, I was just getting over it. Shit just reminded me that I'll never be able to get married. Anyway, I heard you went crazy in the restaurant today.
We did! We had to since it turned into a club activity, you know?
You made a big mess in there. It looks like Sis felt guilty, so she's helping the waitress clean up the store now.
I still think that we should help them clean.
Oh, don't worry about it. We can't let customers do that.
Plus, me made most of the mess.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody nodded in agreement. She told me to tell you guys that you don't have to wait for her. You can go home now.
No, we're going to wait. Right, everybody?
Rena asked for our agreement. Of course we decided to wait without hesitation. Sadako and Rika and I all nodded along. Since we can't help her clean, it's the least we can do. Well, she says that we can go home. I'm pretty sure she'd be sad if we really did leave. Wow, Kei-chan, you grew up. I'm impressed.
He grew up all right. That's because we've all been training him really well, right? That's correct. Nippon.
You girls always band together when it comes to things like this. I hate girls. They get along so easily because they're just girls. In the end, we ended up making a lot more noise, even dragging Shion into this mess this time. I wouldn't know. I don't have any friends that are girls sometimes. Yeah. Not for a long time. I eventually ended up doing that, which is nice. I feel very awkward because I don't know how to interact with most girls. Okay? I don't know. I'm just really awkward at times, okay? I don't even have a social life. What do you expect? Shion, get back in here and help us clean! Where'd you put the washcloths? Oh no, I guess I have to go back to work now.
Mi-chan, do you think it's going to take a while?
What? Why are you still here? Are you waiting for this old man? Don't worry about me. Go on home already! Mia looked happy to see us waiting for her, but she always says the opposite of what she thinks. I wonder when she'll grow up to be able to just honestly say thank you. We're friends, remember? We'll wait until you finish up.
I wish we could help you. I feel bad.
I told you, you don't have to wait for me. I'm going to wait for Shion to finish work tonight, then head to her house in Okinomiya afterward. So you really don't have to wait for me. I do appreciate it, though.
Are you sure? I still feel bad. Yeah, me too.
We have enough people, so really, don't worry about it. Go home before it gets too cold.
We understand. Me, I hope you can finish cleaning soon. Go for it, yeah.
Whoa, thanks! Kei-chan, I trust you to escort the ladies home safely. Please protect them from assassins on their way home. Looking around, I didn't see any ladies who needed an escort. I felt more like I was the one who needed protection. Anyway, we said our goodbyes, making it easy for us to end the day and go home.
Goodbye, Mi-chan! See you tomorrow!
Yep, see you tomorrow! Alright, let's go then! We waved at Mio until she went back inside the restaurant, and after that, we all got on our bicycles and left Okinomiya. On the way home, we talked about how exciting it had been today. It looked like everybody was still fired up. We had the horrifying punishment, the competitive eating contest, which turned into an unprecedented battle involving all the customers in the restaurant, and after that, everything got crazy and messy. At first, the waitresses didn't know what to do, but after a while, they ended up joining in. We had a blast.
That was wonderful! Did you see what Tomita and Okamura did? How amusing it was! I felt sorry for Gameda and Irie.
So did I, but didn't you think my speech was great? Everybody in the restaurant was on my side after that.
Keiichi, you might have seen somebody really important if you were born in a different era. What? This idiot? He's much too full of himself. An idiot will always remain an idiot no matter when or where he's born. If he was born 100 years earlier, he might have gotten printed on bills. Money with Keiichi's face on it? How pathetic! They would only be worth 200 or 300 yen at most.
Sadako and Riga kept their continuous chatter. I was a bit tired after the day's event, so I just listened quietly. I noticed the wind was getting colder. Our shadows were getting longer as well. Sadako and Rika still had a lot of energy left, but what about Rena? She'd been very quiet. Maybe she also had a stomachache from eating too much. I looked at Rena to see. However, I was wrong. Rena was... I didn't really know how to describe it. She looked very satisfied. She looked like she really did have that much fun. She looked like she was happy as she could ever be. I could tell that without her saying a word. When I looked at her, it made me realize the word fun wasn't enough to describe what we did today. Seems like you had a lot of fun.
What about you, Keiichi?
I had a blast too! I wish we could have as much fun tomorrow and the day after too.
I feel the same way. I wish from the bottom of my heart that the time that we spent in the restaurant today would last forever.
Wow, that's kind of poetic.
Don't you agree, Keiichi?
Rena didn't notice that I made fun of her. I might have been a little tactless. Suddenly, I regretted having saying it. I do, I totally agree with you.
But, you know something? Today's not the only day that's filled with happiness.
A cool wind blew through her hair. She smiled at me, and for some reason, she looked very mature. Her appearance made my heart skip a beat.
Every single one of our days in Hinamizawa is full of peaceful, wonderful, precious, irreplaceable days full of happiness. Including the boring days when our club activities get cancelled.
Rena, you think about things in a very mature way.
No, I don't. Honestly, I'm still not done playing around yet. Maybe it's just because I'm still excited.
Rena laughed, and that made me laugh too. Sadako thought we were laughing because we said bad things about her, and she started bugging me about it. Once again, we made a lot of noise like we always do.
Well, Sadako and I are taking this turn here. Rika, why not walk with them a little further and turn where the tobacco store is instead? Did you forget our nightlight burned out? Without that, it's too dark for us to sleep. Oh, that would be quite the problem. go to Makino's general store. Then I guess we'll say goodbye here. You better take this turn or you have to go a long way around.
Makino's general store? Oh, right, that's where it is. If they wanted to make a stop at the store before going back to the shrine, turning here would be the quickest way. Okay then, bye Rika, bye Sadako. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Farewell, Keiichi. Farewell, Rena. See you tomorrow. Bye!
Rika and Sadako waved at us many times and took the narrow path through the field. Once the noisy girls were gone, it went especially quiet all of a sudden. It made me feel as if the sun had set in an instant. I could see my house by now, which everybody called the Maibara Mansion. I didn't notice it earlier because how fired up we all were, but my stomach was about to burst. The growling in my gut felt like thunder. My body must have been paying the price for me acting like an idiot earlier. There was no way I was eating dinner that night. I needed to tell my mom before she started cooking, but before anything, I had to get in the bathroom. My stomach was churning. Oh boy, it really didn't sound good. We go to the place where we always meet Rena in the morning and say goodbye in the evening. I really did have a lot of fun today.
Me too. Are you feeling okay, Keiichi?
My stomach's growling. I guess I need to get some rest.
You need to train your stomach, huh? Huh?
You ate as much as I did. How did you fit all that inside your tiny body?
That would be a woman's secret.
Rena giggled and tried to avoid giving me an answer. She'd probably hit me if I pressed her about it. If she punched me in the stomach, I'd throw up for sure. So I decided not to go any further. Goodbye, Rena. See you tomorrow.
Yes, see you tomorrow.
You know, I used to live in the city.
Yeah?
I never managed to enjoy each and every day like this before. But after moving to Hinamizawa, you know, I think I found happiness.
I feel the same way. I moved to Hinamizawa a year ago. I can't believe I'm as happy as I am, and I spend every day having fun as much as I do.
I see. I'm sure tomorrow will be the same.
That's right. We had so much fun yesterday and today. So tomorrow will be the same.
With all the fun we have every day, I sometimes feel like I'm going to trip and fall sometimes. It kind of scares me.
You fall when you fall, no matter how careful you are. That's why I believe we're going to enjoy every moment as much as we can.
You're right. We gotta enjoy every day as much as we can.
Well, it's probably time to go. Please say hi to your parents for me. Well, I still have a lot of energy left. So I'm going treasure hunting.
What? You're going there now? You sure are resilient. I'm impressed.
What about you? Would you like to come along? I found a new trash pile and I haven't dug it up yet. I might find something totally cute in there.
I'm sorry, but I gotta pass. Besides, it looks like a storm's brewing. I think you should go straight home too.
I usually find something cute when I've had a wonderful day like today. So I'm going there just for a few minutes.
I felt sick enough that I didn't feel like going with her. If I felt better, I would have gone treasure hunting with her for sure. She didn't want to go home yet because she didn't want the fun day to end. That's exactly how I felt too. I understand. Bye then! I hope you can find something cute!
Yep! Thank you! Bye-bye! Keiichi waved over and over as if he didn't want to say goodbye yet, but after a while he was gone. Well, I had to go too because I was going to go treasure hunting. I love cute things. I had such a wonderful day today that I'm sure I'm going to get lucky at treasure hunting. I definitely will find some wonderful treasures. I pedaled my bicycle with determination. My house was nearby, but I took another street that led to the dam construction site. It might have been okay to go home just then, but I hesitated to go since I didn't want to be seen. I had so much fun today and I wanted to continue feeling happy as long as I could. It was already getting late, but I felt like it was getting darker faster than usual. Just like Keiichi said, the clouds in the sky were growing darker. It might start raining hard. But that doesn't mean I have to go home already. Stop it, Rena. You had so much fun today. You have to stay happy as long as you can. I'm happy. I enjoy every day. Rena, say it. Say the magical words. Don't be embarrassed. You're not dumb or anything. I might be able to enjoy every day even more if I were dumb. If so, dumb is what I want to be. I'm going to find something so cute! And I'm going to take it home with me! There. I said it. I'm sure I can find something cute. As long as I believe it's cute, anything can be that way. I should fill my heart with happy memories of today and yesterday. I should look forward to the happiness I'm going to receive tomorrow and the day after tomorrow too. I reached the dam construction site. A mountain of trash loomed before me. I parked my bicycle and walked down the mountain of trash and scrap. This place is my castle. It would be incredible if anybody else came to this mountain of trash. I've come here many times, but I usually stay by for a long while. I've never seen anybody walk by. This place is the village's blind spot. I heard there were many people that came here all the time during the dam wars, but it was abandoned after that. The villagers no longer need to come here, and some people even forgot about it entirely. It seems like they dump trash here at midnight, but I've never seen a truck actually dumping trash at least. If they dumped new trash more often, it'd give me more time to kill, but it looks like it's not going to happen for a while. I walked down the slope of the trash pile all the way down to the bottom and headed behind another pile. Nobody ever comes here. I've come here many times and usually stay for a long while, but nobody has ever come to mess up this place. Not even the other kids from my school come here. They all believe the arm of the manager of the construction site is buried somewhere in the trash piles, and they also believe the whole place is haunted. They told me that a ghost with one arm still wanders around here, looking for his missing limb. Sadly, I haven't seen the ghost either. I'm not scared. In fact, I'd like to rather meet him. I wouldn't mind helping him find his arm. If he's feeling lonely, I'd want him to be my conversation partner. There's a station wagon buried beneath the trash pile. It doesn't have tires, but other than that, it still looks like a station wagon. The station wagon is my secret hideout. Unfortunately, the sliding door and rear doors don't open, so whenever I want to get in, I have to enter the car from the passenger seat and crawl into the back from there. Of course, I take off my shoes at the passenger seat. When you look at it from the outside, it's just a dirty abandoned car. But on the inside, it's nice and clean because I had swept it out and decorated a little. That took me a long time. The back seats are lying flat because I wanted to have as much space as possible. I found a mattress in the trash pile and put it into that space instead. It was a bit dirty, so I brought a bed sheet from home and covered the mattress with it. I put my favorite cushions on top, and with that, it turned into a perfect bed. I put cushions and stuffed animals everywhere. That's not all, look at this! I have a bunch of sweets here too. I have a bag of fruit candy in 4 different colors and some cookies, but they're going bad. I'll have to throw them away. My bear-shaped water bottle was empty. When I come here to spend some time on Sundays, I usually bring this water bottle with some sweetened tea in it. I have a box of tissues and a flashlight and extra batteries and other daily necessities in here. I also have a few books to read in order to kill some time while I'm at it. And I have this. What do you think this is? Look! Ta-da! My hideout suddenly lit up thanks to the table lamp. And there's an electric outlet on the side of the old nearby construction office. I thought they'd cut the power years ago, but to my surprise I was wrong. Electricity is still being supplied to the outlet. When I found tons of extension cords, I came up with the idea to connect them all and made the electricity come all the way down my hideout. Now I can spend time here comfortably with some sweets, books, and lights. If I wanted to, I might be able to spend a night here. But I may catch a cold since it gets very cold at night. See? This is a very nice hideout, isn't it? At first I thought somebody would find it and mess with it, but that hasn't happened so far. It's because nobody comes here, and everybody forgot about this place. That's how this place became my perfect secret hideout. Fortunately, I ate so much today that I'm still full. I can tell them I was playing with my friend at her house and ate dinner there. I'm going to stay there for a while and relax, and I'm going to treat myself. I loved the water gun battle yesterday. My heart had been pounding when I fought one-on-one with Keiichi. I also had great fun in Angel Mort today. I never experienced such a crazy game with so many people in my life. I was still feeling the after effects, and I was sure I had a dream about tonight. That was why I wanted to bask in these happy feelings. That's why I'm going to treat myself in here. I should take off my shoes and stretch my toes. I should cherish the time when I can be myself. Once I took off my shoes, I felt so relaxed I didn't want to put them on again. I played all day today and I was very tired. The treasure hunt could wait. As it got darker, the light of the lamp became encouraging. It really was getting dark faster than usual. All of a sudden, I heard the sound of raindrops hitting the roof of the car. The interval between drops got shorter and shorter. When it became a continuous sound, I began to hear thunder. Even though it was raining heavily, it remained very quiet inside the car, making me feel like I was in a different world. It's my castle after all. I feel a bit cold, so I unfolded my big blanket and hid under it. I'm here alone, under the warm blanket that has my scent. Even though nobody knew where I was at the moment, I feel like I was left alone in the heavy rain. I still feel secure and free from anxiety for some reason. I felt like this heavy rain was keeping my enemies away from my castle. I liked it that way. This place is full of small happiness. It's full of my favorite things. That's why I'm happy whenever I'm here. When I put another blanket over me, I felt as warm as if I were in bed. I listened to the soothing sounds of the raindrops hitting the scrap iron and the trash heaps. It made me feel sleepy. This is a castle of trash. This trash came here because nobody wanted it. This is where it lives. This is a country where unwanted refuse lives together. I felt like I fit in here, but at the same time, I knew it was just a temporary place for me, as there's somewhere I had to get back to. No, I shouldn't think about things like that. Whenever I realize that I don't belong here, I remember I'm in the middle of a very dirty pile of trash. I should just doze for a bit longer. Thinking is poisonous. I wanted to keep myself out of that poison, so the kind Rena within me would stay pure. A little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. And I closed my eyes.
Why do I relate to that? I don't have a trash heap to live in. But I know about going back to places that you don't want to go back to, that is supposed to be your house. Oh, I love this song. This is my favorite. My mother was a very busy woman. The harder she worked, the more her work was valued, and she kept getting promoted. She sought to go higher and higher. She was always shining, and she was my hero. My mother started her career as a fashion designer at a small clothing factory in Okinomiya. My father was a designer too. They met through their job and soon got married. They lived in a small apartment in Okinomiya, but they moved to my grandma's house, our current house in Hinamizawa, when she got pregnant with me. We lived there until the right before I went to elementary school. Now that I think about it, that was the happiest time of my life. I felt happy every day and believed without a doubt that tomorrow would be the same. I was so happy that I took it for granted and didn't even feel the happiness. I really did feel happy every day. I was small at the time and I didn't really understand what was going on, but it seemed like the company my parents were working for was having financial difficulties. So my mother and a few other young designers started talking about leaving the company and going independent. After many things happened and the situation grew complicated, they got an offer to work at a big design firm in Ibaraki and they took the offer. At the time I heard my mother saying many difficult words like limited partnership and business alliance, but in short, what she wanted to do was move to Ibaraki. My mother and her peers were hired because their talent and experience made them immediate assets at their new company. However, my father wasn't one of them. Unfortunately, my father wasn't as talented as my mother was, so moving to Ibaraki meant that my father had to give up being a fashion designer. My mother's new company had high expectations of her talent and promised her a responsible project. She didn't want to waste her growing talent and passion by living in a rural town like Hinamizawa. So my mother convinced my father to quit his job and move to Ibaraki to support her and help build her career. Back then, moving meant I had to say goodbye to my close friends. I didn't want to move and I kept crying about it. After we moved to Ibaraki, my mother was a big success. Not only did she have great leadership skills, she was full of energy and I believe she did use the best of her talents to succeed. She came home late every night and barely had any days off. When she had a big project, she often stayed entire nights at her office. But when she came home, she always looked fulfilled and wore a happy smile she had never worn when she was in Hinamizawa. She was shining. I remember I always wanted to shine like her when I grew up. On the other hand, my father wasn't doing so well. He couldn't find a job as a fashion designer, so he took a clerical job at a small company, but he kept changing positions. He couldn't use the experience he had cultivated, and it was very hard for him. But he was understanding.
He started to take care of things around the house for my mother, who got busier and busier, having one project after another. He cleaned the house, did the laundry, and came to my school events. However, he couldn't cook. He did cook rice, but always bought side dishes from the grocery store. We ate dinner without my mother more and more often.
I guess she's busy again.
Every time I said that, he always told me,
"Your mother's working very hard, so let's support her, Reina."
That was what he always told me. I decided to help my father with the cooking. I thought it'd be a good idea to learn how to cook since he wasn't very good at it. Whenever my mother cooked, I helped her and tried to learn how to cook from her. She apologized for not having enough time to cook for us, but she was happy that I was learning. I think I wrote in my school yearbook that I wanted to be a clothing designer in the future just like my mother, but apparently I lacked my mother's exceptional sense of style. She used to tell me, taste is something that you're born with, not something you cultivate. I remember I was discouraged to be a designer because of that. That's why I tried to reach her by getting better at things she wasn't so good at, instead of trying to be like her. I wanted to be good not only at cooking, but also at doing things around the house like cleaning and doing the laundry and grocery shopping. I remember my father was really happy that I did all that for him, because he wasn't good at it at all. He couldn't find a job and spent a lot of time at home, so he seemed to enjoy spending time doing the housework with his daughter more than anything. I started to become better and better and filling in for my mother. She started to get too busy to do any of the housework at all as she moved on to a more responsible position at her job. She took me out to many places as to compensate for leaving me alone all the time.
Wait a minute, hey. This is feeling a little too close, in a sense.
She used to say, "Let's go eat something delicious without telling your father," and took me out to a restaurant. She took me to high-class restaurants and amusement parks. Sometimes it was only me and my mother. Sometimes it was with her friends from work. She took me to a beach barbecue one summer with those friends. I was introduced as her daughter, and every one of them pampered me. I still remember there was this one guy who particularly doted on me. He was a good-looking young man. I called him Uncle once, and he got mad at me. He was nicely tanned, with dyed brown hair. This young man often came with us when he went out. When my mother took me somewhere, she usually made several phone calls for her work during the day, and sometimes she took me out to a place where she could also do her work at the same time. So I didn't feel awkward when people from her work came with us. But I always preferred to be alone with her, so I was happier when we could do that.
You know, when I think about it, I mean, I didn't have a dad thing, but I did have siblings that did take me out a lot, and because my parents were never home. And I think, and then there's a time that my siblings, I'd meet like their friends or like maybe their boyfriend or girlfriend or something and stuff, and they had to get married and everything because they were basically my parent figures. One day she took me to a very high-end part of town. Of course, she always spoiled me whenever we went out. She bought me things and let me eat whatever I wanted, but she especially spoiled me on that day. She took me to many expensive-looking boutiques and accessory stores. She was about to buy me something, but I told her not to get it because it didn't look good on me. Without hesitation, she bought it anyway. I remember there were many zeros on the price tag. On that day, I realized my mother's design work had made her very successful, and she was earning a lot of money. We took a break at the ridiculously expensive-looking restaurant that probably charged 1,000 yen for a glass of orange juice. My mother clapped her hands and spoke with me with a smile on her face. She asked, "Reina, would you like to make your dream come true?" When I was in kindergarten, my teacher gave me the students a topic to draw a picture of. The topic was my dream, and I drew myself eating a mountain of fruit parfait all by myself. What my mother meant to say is she was going to make that dream come true for me. It was a normal day. It wasn't my birthday or anything, but since my mother always spoiled me when we were out together, I didn't feel awkward about it at all, and I accepted her offer with a happy smile. There were 5 or 6 fruit parfaits in front of me. I remember it looked exactly like the world I drew, and I felt like I was floating in that dream world. It was too much for us to finish, but we dug our spoons into it as if we were playing in the mud, and we really enjoyed eating it together. It was my first time to experience getting full by eating only fruit parfaits, and I remember I was very happy. I enjoyed tasting the happiness and chatting with my mother. Reina, do you remember the man who went to the movie and had dinner with us last time?
Are you talking about Uncle Akihito? Though I can't call him that or he's going to hit me.
Reina, do you like Akihito?
I hate him! He always teases me!
That's because he likes you. You got along well with him at the barbecue.
Well, I get along with him every now and then. Every now and then.
My mother laughed. I didn't know why she brought up the subject, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I was too young. Now that I think about it, she was breaking the news. I just didn't notice it. Reina, who do you like better, your father or me?
You!
It wasn't that I hated my father or anything, but I thought giving her that answer was appropriate after she spoiled me so much. If I said I'm going to live in another house away from your father, which one of us would you like to live with?
Huh?
I'm thinking about divorcing your father and getting married to Akihito. Uh-oh. At that time, my mother was a very successful woman. I didn't know this at the time, but she was drafted by a head hunter to work at a bigger company where she was promoted to a higher, more responsible position. One where she could bring out the most of her talent. Of course, the position wasn't the only thing she gained. Compared to my father's low salary, my mother was earning enough to support a family of 3 and still having some left over. I kind of realized it from the way she spent money. The greater position she achieved, the more she spent time with people at her level. All of them were bright and talented. Compared to them, my father might have looked unattractive to her. I liked Uncle Akihito, but I liked him as one of my mother's friends. Not the same way I liked my father. I liked my father and mother equally, so it was very shocking to me that my mother wanted to divorce him. I felt as if the ground below me was beginning to crack. That expression, I realized, actually fit my situation very well. I had to choose which side of the cracked ground I wanted to stand on. My mother told me to live with her at her new house. Her new house meant the house Uncle Akihito lived in. I thought a house was a sanctuary for a family. I believed that a house was a holy place where strangers couldn't easily enter. That's why I couldn't believe her. How could she let a stranger invade such a holy place so easily? Why do you hate my father? My mother looked down and didn't answer. I asked her another question. Why can't you stay with my father? I think that was the hardest and the most heartbreaking of all questions for my mother to answer. In short, my mother had cheated on him. She loved another man who was more attractive than my father. It was just that and nothing more. I knew more than anybody that it wasn't my father's fault. First of all, he decided to move from Hinamizawa to support my mother as much as he could. For him, nothing good had come from that. Actually, I think he had a very tough time since we moved to Ibaraki, but he volunteered to be her support and tried very hard to do that. I thought my mother appreciated his support. So I took her decision as a betrayal. I told her I disagreed with everything, including the divorce. I said it very loudly and made everybody in the store jump. Sure, continue a relationship with Uncle Akihito, but don't divorce my father. I feel bad for him. I feel terrible for him. He's been doing nothing but supporting you patiently this whole time. How could you do such a cruel thing to him? I screamed as loud as I could. And then my mother answered. It's too late. Why? You haven't talked with my father about this, have you? It's not too late! I'm pregnant. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I don't know whether my mother actually told him about the divorce in person. A middle-aged woman who called herself a lawyer came to the house several times to talk to my father on my mother's behalf. She sometimes called him, too. My father begged the lawyer to let him speak directly to my mother many times, but it never happened. I could tell by the way they talked that he had no clue when my mother told him she wanted a divorce. Well, again, I'm not even sure if she told him in person. The lawyer told him not to meet my mother, not to call her at work, and many other things, too. To top it all off, she told him not to see my mother ever again. He wanted to talk to her. He called some of their mutual friends, but he only found out the name of the guy she was having an affair with and nothing more. He asked me, "Do you know the guy?" I told him I do. I also told him that he was a funny guy and given me candy many times. I'll never forget how he looked at me when I told him that. He hit me for the first time. He hit me so hard that his handprint stayed on my cheek for a while, and then he fell on the floor and cried loudly, and then I started to cry too. I didn't cry because he hit me. Uncle Akihito was kind to me, so I liked him and talked to him out of courtesy. No, that wasn't it. Girls had to be kind to everybody. That's what I thought. But I was wrong. I learned in this world there are people you should be nice to, and enemies you shouldn't be nice to.
The enemies are the ones who would destroy my life with their very existence. Whether they mean to harm me or not doesn't matter. They're like weeds growing in a flower bed. Dandelions are innocent, but they take out all the nutrition from the tulips from the soil. That's why we have to pull them out. The dandelions did nothing wrong, but they're the enemy. Enemies are bad people. That guy was a bad person. I shouldn't have accepted him. I should have rejected him with everything I had. By doing so, I might have been able to disrupt the relationship. By doing so, I might have been able to make my mother feel like the relationship wasn't going to work. If I tried to do so, my parents wouldn't have had to break up. My father and I cried together, but we cried for different reasons. He must have cried because it happened so fast, and it didn't make any sense to him. I cried because I regretted that I let it happen when I had the chance to prevent it. My father stroked my cheek and opened his mouth to apologize, but he couldn't speak and just cried with me. On the day the lawyer let me see my mother asked me to live with her at her house again, but I didn't know what to say, so I just kept looking down and listened to her apologies. My father knew that I was going to see my mother on that day, so he handed me a letter and told me to give it to her. I don't know what he wrote in that letter, but for some reason, I was able to imagine what kind of things he wrote when I felt it through the envelope. After all, the letter inside the envelope had a rough surface. He must have been crying while writing the letter, and his tears made the letter all wrinkled when it dried. My mother took the letter from me and told me she read it later and was about to put it in her bag. I stopped her and told her to read it there. I wanted to see how she was going to take the last words that my father had left to her. But my mother didn't read it. She told me she wanted to read it alone later, and she put it in her bag. At that time, I realized, no, it was more than that. I should say, I knew, because it was so obvious. I knew that my mother was lying. She had no intention of reading my father's letter. She was going to throw it away after I was gone, but she lied just because she wanted to seem like a nice person in front of me. The slight curl in her eyebrows and lips told me more clearly than anything else. At that moment, I finally knew something else. That guy she was having an affair with wasn't the only bad person. My mother was also a bad person. Since that moment, the existence of my mother disappeared from my world like dry ice evaporating. I didn't have to hesitate about whom to live with anymore. I don't want to go to your house. The Ryugu house is my home. I don't want to see you anymore. Please don't even call me. But, Reina, if you live with your father, you won't have... At that moment, I hated my name for the first time in my life. Please, don't call me Reina ever again. I have to go now. Goodbye. Those were my last words to my mother. No, to the woman who used to be my mother. After that, I spent many days without feeling anything. I don't know if the days were long or short. I don't know which season I was living in. It was supposed to be nothing out of the ordinary, not having my mother around. But every time my father saw things that reminded him of her, like her toothbrush, her teacup, or her favorite books, he shed tears, which left me frustrated. That's why I decided to completely remove her belongings from the house. I roughly threw her things in a black trash bag. I started to do so frantically. By the time I knocked out her wardrobe, threw her music box hard on the floor, and broke her mirror, my mind was already not working properly. When I try to remember what happened after that, I feel disoriented. That's because the pills the doctor gave me back when that made me feel disoriented and lethargic every time I took them. It seems like that dullness hit me especially hard, since every time I try to remember that time, it makes me feel disoriented and lethargic, just like the pills made me feel. I destroyed everything that smelled like my mother, but the thing I wanted to destroy the most might have been myself. Even after I threw all her belongings away, I still couldn't stop feeling regret. I decided to blame myself in the end. Maybe I was thinking I wanted to do damage to her reputation and successful life by destroying her daughter, destroying myself. When I was about to reach that very last resolution, Oyashiro came to me. Oyashiro told me to go back to Hinamizawa. Yes, all of this was because of his curse. Oyashiro brought a curse upon the Ryugu family because we broke his rule and abandoned Hinamizawa. After I figured that out, everything started to make sense to me. All the crazy things that happened after my mother was gone. The curse of Oyashiro did all of that to us. It was Oyashiro's voice that was telling us to come back to Hinamizawa, that's right.
We should have stayed in Hinamizawa. Everything went crazy because we moved. We had to go back to Hinamizawa. I started feeling disoriented again, and a dull pain ran through my head. It might be a scream from within me telling me not to push myself too hard to remember any further. The house where we used to live in Hinamizawa was still there. My grandma already passed away, and the house was the only property she left for us. I remember that I used to live in Hinamizawa, but all I remembered was that it was a village that I used to live in right before I went to elementary school. I remember the atmosphere of the village, too. That was all I remembered. I forgot the streets and even the names of the close friends I used to play with. The neighbors knew that the son of the deceased woman had come back divorced, but they didn't know us, and we didn't know them. So it was almost like we moved to a new place. However, as far as I was concerned, it was still my hometown that I had come back to. At first, everything was inconvenient compared to life in Ibaraki. It was hard for both of us to adjust, but we renovated the old house, and it was only me and my father. Life here seemed to make my father forget his pain from the divorce. Michan was very kind to me, and I started to get used to my new life too. I did everything around the house, and we gradually went back to a time when we used to live happily. Anybody can live a happy life. People sometimes say that people are born to be unhappy, but I believe that's just an excuse for people who don't even want to try. I won't give in to fate. I'll never give up trying to recapture the happy times that I lost. I'm going to become happy to the point where I don't even feel the happiness anymore. I'm not going to cry anymore. I'll never cry again. I used up all my tears on that night my father hit me. The curse of Oyashiro is over because we came back to Hinamizawa, so I'm going to have a happy life from now on. All of a sudden, big raindrops hit the roof of the car, and I recovered my senses. It was still raining hard. It's still already gone dark outside. The shadows the table lamp created were very dark, and it looked as if there was nothing else around me. If I turned off this light, would everything in this world disappear? I turned off the light. Darkness swallowed me, but the cold air and the sound of the rain didn't change a bit. That made me realize I was still in this world. The curse of Oyashiro. Did the curse of Oyashiro do those crazy things to my family? Or did I convince myself it did as an excuse for myself because I didn't want to feel guilty about the divorce? Sometimes I'm not sure. Since that time, Oyashiro hasn't come to me. I sometimes feel like it was a delusion I created because I was mentally ill. But he did come at that time. I'm sure about that. Am I right, Oyashiro? I was unhappy after I left Hinamizawa, but I came back and I'm happy now. But where am I supposed to go now that I'm unhappy in Hinamizawa? Where? Stop it, Rena. Don't think that you're unhappy. I am happy. I will be happy. I can definitely be happy. Suddenly, I felt as if this darkness swallowed me. I'd never be able to feel happy again. I found the switch of the table lamp and turned it back on. When I looked at the clock, it was already past 11 p.m. I had to go home. I wouldn't have time to prepare my lunch for tomorrow. At least I'd set the timer on the rice cooker. It didn't look like the rain was going to stop anytime soon. I looked out of the window to see the rain, but I could only see my reflection. I talked to that reflection in the window. I'm so glad that my father's happy. He'd been acting like he was dead for a long time. That smile on his face is a good sign that he's regaining his former happy life. He became miserable because of me. That's why I don't mind doing things for him until he regains his smile and we truly become happy. When I stay here alone for a while, it gives him some time to be alone with her. Plus, I don't have to fake a smile. But then, my reflection in the window tells me, Rena, you're such a good girl. You're kind to everybody and love them equally. You can make anybody like you. But did you forget something? In this world, there are people that you should be kind to, and enemies that you have to reject with all you've got. I thought you learned that lesson. No, don't listen to her. My reflection's always mean. She always says mean things and makes fun of my worries. She always tells me things I can't say myself. Let's go home, Rena. To your home. Forget about that mean Rena in the mirror. I was a bit hungry by then. After all the desserts I ate, I still got hungry. I almost forgot. Rena bought me a shortcake. I never had a shortcake from Angel Mart, but I bet it'll taste good. I'll have to give my thanks to Rena the next time I see her. Rena speaks in a way that makes it very clear how she grew up, but I'm sure she's a good person. That's because she's so good to my father.
everything I could to make my father smile, but I failed. On the other hand, reading could put a big smile on his face so easily. I have to thank Rena. I have to thank her for cheering up my father. But I don't know why. I just don't like her perfume. God damn, reading this makes me want to cry! Frick! My nose is watering so much because I'm trying not to freaking burst into tears reading Rena's thing. Today I feel like really crying today. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna read the tips. Hold on. Okay, I just want to say before we continue to read the tips. I feel like, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not that similar to Rena. My parents were both busy with work, so it's not like I had a father figure. I had, like, siblings. But my sister was more like a mom figure to me. And I had another sister, but I don't know. She was kind of a parent figure for me, and then I only had, like, one parent figure, and that was my other sister. And she was getting married when I was 16, or was it when I was 15? I don't remember. I didn't like it. I freaked out at the restaurant, too. Like, I don't exactly have the same life as Rena in that sense, but I remember I don't know. I mean, when I'm reading this now, I feel like I can relate to her. Every time I reread Higurashi, I feel like I can relate more and more to the characters each time, because I just realize that there are things that we have in common, and it's, I don't know, this time keeps passing, and I keep remembering, and I don't know, like, I keep remembering more and more things, and I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. I really have no idea. Yeah. Okay, let's read the tips. My summer picture diary. What is this one? Today I went to the swimming pool with my mom. Uncle Akihito came with us too. I don't like him because sometimes he's mean to me, but he's a very kind of funny old man. He told me to call him Daddy for that day because he was going to play with me at the pool like he was my daddy. My mom called him Daddy, so I did too. Uncle Akihito looked very happy and gave me a lot of money. My mom looked very happy and it made me happy too. I want to play with him again. I hope my dad can come with us next time.
Rainy days are on their way. I opened the window and placed my cushion nearby and prepared to enjoy the weather. But she came over and disrupted my peaceful evening. She always ruins my time of solitude.
You look pleased. Oh, that's right. You ate a lot of your favorite sweets today.
This girl loves sweets more than anything. I like them too, but I can't eat like she does. It'd give me heartburn if I ate that amount she ate today. She seemed to be very happy, so I'll leave her alone for a while. I've been making my favorite hot and salty food for the past few days, so she must be quite pleased today. It was a very fun day for me too. I just wanted to enjoy the memory of the excitement I felt today by sitting here quietly enjoying the sunset. But when I looked up at the sky, I saw some thick clouds forming there. The wind was a bit cooler than usual. It might start raining soon. People say that when deep sea animals come up to the shallows, it's a sign of a big earthquake or a tsunami. We saw a very rare fish that dwells in deep water in the shallows today. Just as the ancient stories of sea monsters say, people hate deep sea animals and tend to interpret them as omens of a disaster. It didn't matter if they showed up alive or dead. I said something interesting just now. Even if they showed up alive or dead, it was an omen of disaster. Oh, it might start raining soon. Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell me. I'll get the laundry. I grabbed a basket and went outside to take the laundry in. The clouds were getting darker, and I normally like rain, but I didn't think I'd enjoy it today. Huh! I wonder who's bugging. I wonder who it is. Oh, come on. We all know it's Rika because of the voice I chose for Bird Castle, okay? It's the same voice. Okay? I'm just telling you. Okay. Hold on, before we continue to read, I need to blow my nose because my nose has been crying. I haven't been crying, but my nose has. So I have to go. Give me a moment, okay? First read that scene in the manga where Rena was blaming herself, and I cried. I don't know. Sometimes I cry, and sometimes I don't cry. I just have a time where I get more susceptible. Anyway, let's continue. Hey, good morning, Rena. You're late today.
You're just as early today, Keiichi.
I'm not trying to put aside the fact that I'm always late, but it feels good to defeat you once in a while.
I slept in this morning. I couldn't sleep last night.
Oh, you too? Same here. I was still feeling yesterday's uproar. It took me a long time to go to sleep. Yesterday I had a lot of fun with my friends and went home still riding that high. I was too full to eat dinner. I kept talking with my parents about the great time I had over the past few days. I was so pumped up I couldn't go to sleep. Kinda sounds like I'm a little kid. On the side note, now you understand. It's like when Keiichi's like, oh yes, let me go to your house, Rena, and meet your mom. It's like, Keiichi, her mom's not there, and she doesn't want you to see that. Doesn't look good then in hindsight, huh? Okay. But given that Rena seemed to be the same way, I felt better about it. No, I felt better isn't the right way of phrasing it. I should say I'm glad to know that we share the same feeling. Rena went treasure hunting after I left. I'm sure she found many adorable things and went home. No. I talked with her parents about how great the day was. No.
Hey, Mi-chan! Good morning!
Oh, you're here early. Better watch out for the pigs fall from the sky. I know I usually make you wait for me, but do you really have to say it like that?
Keiichi was unusually early this morning. Today's full of miracles.
You're one to talk yourself. It's gonna be another happy day today. I had fun the day before yesterday. I had fun yesterday, so I'm going to have fun today for sure. I'm happy, and Mion's happy too. Of course, Rena and my other friends are equally happy. I'm not afraid to say it, and I wish these happy days would last forever. Oh, Keiichi. You sweet summer child. Hey, Mion! What are we playing today? What? For club? I don't know yet. Rena, do you have any idea?
Let's see. We've been playing athletic games for the past few days, so I'd say something not athletic.
You're right. That's a very good point. Our club's not only about athletic performance, is it? Of course it's not. Our club members have to have brain, skill, and brawn to boot. So, why don't we play some tabletop games today? Everybody was early this morning. We can enjoy our walk to school for once. After a while, we started talking about the upcoming festival. They told me the festival was called Watanagashi, and that was the biggest event of the year in Hinamizawa. Yesterday, my relatives gathered at my house in Okinomiya, and they started talking about you, Kei-chan. What? Me? What, the great people of the Sotozaki family had to talk about? Well, my uncle Yoshiro is the store manager of Angel Mart, and he saw your performance yesterday. He really likes you now. So, I started asking the others if they heard of you, and found out most of them did. And they said you're famous in Hinamizawa. Famous? That doesn't sound like they mean it in a good way. I'm probably more infamous of this because of the punishments you make me do. It's not only that. They say you blend in well and that you're full of energy and a little bit reckless. And they say it's rare for a young man in this era to have all those qualities. They were very impressed with you. I felt a bit embarrassed to know that people I haven't even met were speaking so well of me. And so, they want you to do something at the Watanagashi Festival. You like to draw people's attention, don't you? Hey! Don't assume things and don't decide anything without me! Don't you know I'm a quiet, lonely guy who loves to be alone? Lonely guy? You mean Cherry Boy, don't you?
What's a cherry boy? Oh, Keiichi, what does cherry boy mean?
Whoa! Stop talking about nasty things! Ladies don't talk about things like that! We really were feeling the after effects of yesterday. Mio and I made a lot of noise teasing each other on the way to school. We're gonna watch this and laugh happily. Sadako and Rika were already there when we arrived at school, and they were also full of energy. Tomita and Okamura were too, and from that, I can tell they also had a good time yesterday. Everybody was having a good time, really. In Hinamizawa, everybody's happy. Except in other arcs. And except Rena. It hasn't even been a year since I moved here, but... What is it? Well, I'm just glad I moved here. What's wrong, Keija? You're being sentimental.
I understand exactly how you feel. You feel like everything's perfect and you've become happy since you moved to Hinamizawa. I think this village has some kind of power to make people feel this way.
Are you happy, Rena?
Yes! I'm happy every day here in Hinamizawa.
Yeah, me too. Hey! Don't leave this old man in the cold! Let me have the conversation too! The sky was clear and the few thin clouds were pure white. The cry of the cicadas was telling me the summer would be coming earlier than usual. Watanagashi is just around the corner. I'm sure we'll have a great fun at the festival too. There'll be more and more fun days to come, I'm sure of it. Summer's just around the corner.
The last of class the day was finally over, meaning that it was time for club activities. I was sure it would be fun. I couldn't wait. But then Michan received a call and told us that something had come up and she had to go, so we didn't have a club meeting today. I was really looking forward to it. There was nothing I could do, but I could at least chat with Keiichi on the way home. It'll be fun. Keiichi sometimes says mean things, but he's very funny. When I chat with him, my depression goes away. Wait, what did I just say? Am I depressed? I have so much fun every day and I'm as happy as I can be. What did I have to be depressed about? Well, it was obvious. Because of Rina, my father's happy now. Before he met her, he was like a lamp in broad daylight. Honestly, he was like the living dead. But after he met Rina, he started to smile like he used to when he was living with my mother. He enjoyed talking with her and going out with her. You could probably say they went on dates. Now he looks 10, no, 20 years younger. Rina gets along with my father very well, and she's very kind to me too. There's actually no reason for me to hate her. But the bitter memories of my parents' divorce and my many regrets were gradually eating away at my heart. Was it okay to accept that woman? Rina might be the same as how Uncle Akihito turned out to be. Is she the enemy who takes my happiness away with her very existence? With or without bad intentions? Am I going to sit around until everything collapses again? Should I fight the enemy before it's too late? Rina comes to my house a little too obviously. Since my father started letting her stay the night, many of her belongings have turned up in the house. My father and I don't smoke, but there's an ashtray in the living room. The futon in our guest room is hers now. In the bathroom there's a toothbrush and shampoo I never choose to buy. I started to feel awkward about those things, and that's when I started noticing it at the front door when I came home from school. Her perfume. I asked my father once if he was thinking about getting married to Rina. He looked a little embarrassed, perplexed, and confused me. He told me not yet. He knew I was hurt by the divorce. That's probably why he couldn't admit that he wanted to remarry. That's why he said not yet. He'd consider it, but not while I was living with him. That's what he meant, I guess. There's only one reason why I don't want him to get remarried to Rina. I feel offended by my sanctum. My family isn't being invaded. I might be being selfish, though. I know keeping my father all to myself means keeping him miserable, like before he met Rina. He has a life to live, too. It's his right to heal from the pain from the divorce and to live and find his new love. He wouldn't have had to go through that painful life if I had prevented the divorce from happening in the first place. He has a right to a happy new life that lets him forget the pain he never deserved. I don't have any right to stop him. In fact, I have an obligation to try to return his happiness to him. I have to pay for my sin, my inability to prevent his divorce. Then, what should I do to make the both of us happy? It wouldn't be that difficult. All I need to do was to give my silent approval of their relationship. My father tells me he won't get remarried while we live together. That means I should stop leaning on my family and be strong and live on my own as soon as I can. Though that doesn't mean I can tell him not to go out with her until that day. Rina comes to our house to see him despite her busy schedule. She even stays the night whenever her shifts permit. They're adults. I have no right to say anything against that. That's why I chose to give my silent approval to their relationship. I tried to see her as little as I could. I get along with Rina on the surface. I know my father would have a hard time keeping face if we didn't. But it's a very exhausting and painful thing to get along with a person I don't really like. So whenever Rina comes over, I spend as much time outside as possible and head home late. Nichan's club activities are the most convenient thing to do to kill time. But there are some days we don't have a club meeting. On those days, I while my time away at the garbage dump and hunt for treasure alone. And that's how I started to make my secret hideout. My father can do whatever he wants with Rina at home. I don't have to see them together. I can spend my time peacefully at the hideout. I sometimes feel depressed about my life. I sometimes want to talk to somebody about it, but nothing will change. Even if I talk to somebody. This is all I can really do. The most important thing for me to do is overcome the sadness of losing my family as fast as I could and to regain my own happiness. I have so much fun every day. I'm happy every day. Even on the way home, Keiichi was talking about funny things that made me laugh. My feeling gloomy in spite of that was kind of rude. My father should be happy. I should be happy. I just feel sad because I can't separate from my father still. Compared to the unexpectedness of the divorce, Rina's invasion was a very slow process. I think Rina understands how I feel. She treats me very kindly, but she doesn't do more than that. I think she understands that I'd feel uncomfortable if she did. I respect Rika because she's strong even without her parents. Compared to the pain of losing both her parents unexpectedly, the problem's like nothing. I respect Rika's toughness too. She also lost her parents and was forced to live a painful life under her uncle and aunt. Compared to the cruel treatment she had to go through, my relationship with Rina is a blessed one. I keep feeling anxious, but that's just because I'm still immature and because I feel like I'm not ready to separate from my father. I have to be strong like Rika and Sadako. I have to try my best to be happy. I'm going to live with all my might in order to regain the peace of mind I lost that day. My assumption that I'm not happy is just a mistake. I should appreciate the wonderful days I spent with my wonderful friends. Just by realizing that I'm happy, the world shines so brightly. Listen! It was just so cute, so I screamed, I'm taking it home with me! I bet you did. You're an expert about making the most out of every day. I am, aren't I? I feel very fortunate to have a wonderful life and wonderful friends. How can I be unhappy? You're right. In Hinamizawa, nobody becomes unhappy. Everybody stays happy. Hinamizawa is free from misfortunes. He should have stopped right there, but he just kept going. I'm jealous of you, Rena. I wish I could be an idiotic optimist like you. Oh, Sounds like you're insulting me, but if that's what I need to make every day wonderful, I wouldn't mind. Would I? I don't have any worries. I feel like I do, but that's just because I'm immature and I still want my father's attention. Come on, say the magical words. It'll cheer you up. It didn't make sense to say it now, but I was going to say it anyway, because this is my magical phrase that always cheers me up. Hello! I'm taking it out with me!
What's wrong with you? That's so like you, but still.
That's right. This is me, Rena. I'm not Reina. Reina still wants her parents' attention. Rena's a goofy, carefree girl, and she knows that every day's full of happiness, and she has a kind heart to appreciate it, too. I should forget about icky things. I should live a wonderful life free of anything icky. Icky starts with I, and that's why I got rid of the I in Reina. I'm Rena. I'm going to recapture the happiness I lost when I left Hinamizawa. I will overcome any pain and hardship. I can be happy because I got rid of the icky things. I'm sure there's only incredible things waiting for me. Oh, incredible starts with I, too. I was almost home when my house appeared. I noticed something different there. There was a truck parked in front of my house. There was nothing on the back of it, but I could tell it brought something here because I saw some cardboard boxes, blankets, and ropes on the ground. From the front of the house, I heard some voices of the two young men saying, "Well, we'll be going now." They passed me by as I walked toward the front store. They were wearing some kind of work uniforms, and they looked like delivery people. My father was about to close the door when he noticed me. "Hey, I'm home. What's going on?" "Oh, Reina, I have a surprise for you." My father looked to be in a good mood. I didn't know why he was, but whenever he smiled like that, I just wanted to smile back at him. His eyes used to look like those of a dead fish, no matter how hard I tried to smile at him. But these days he could put on a big smile just to surprise me. He's been literally coming back to life since a year ago when we moved to Hinamizawa. No, he started dating Rina. When I see him smile like this, I'm happy, but at the same time, I feel confused because I don't know whether I should thank Rina or not.
"Look, doesn't it look great?"
He took me to the living room. He was probably expecting me to go all, ooh and ah, so whenever there was something in the living room or not, I was ready to go ooh and ah for him. "Wow! What is this? What did you do?" I tried to sound excited and surprised. He was standing behind me, probably smiling with satisfaction at hearing my excited voice. I, on the other hand, was desperately trying to understand what was going on. For a moment, I thought I was in somebody else's house. You see, the living room had been completely redecorated. The furniture we all had was basically from the former house in Ibaraki. My parents brought most of the furniture when they got married, so it was all old and a little dirty. Some of them still had crayon scribbles I drew when I was very little. But all that was gone. Everything in the living room had turned a pastel color, looking very sophisticated like the rooms you'd see in soap operas. The new carpet looked very tropical. The new curtains matched with the carpet. The new sofa looked very expensive. The living room in general looked like a resort hotel. The channel switcher of our old TV was broken, and we used to change the channels with pliers, but it was gone too, and replaced a new one with a big screen. The room lights had also been replaced with nicer looking ones. The living room looked like a totally different world under the new fluorescent lights. "This looks great, Dad. What made you do this?"
"I did it to get a fresh start. It's been a year since we moved here, and I thought it'd be time for me to reboot and finally start a new life."
I suggested redecorating the house once, in order to cheer him up, but he was still in pain after the divorce. But he wasn't interested at the time. He didn't want to get rid of the old furniture he had chosen with my mother because he still couldn't get over her, even though she cruelly broke up with him. I wanted to suggest it again when the time was right. I never thought that he'd do it on his own initiative. That was a good idea. This beautiful living room makes me feel refreshed. I love it.
"I knew you would, Reina. You always wanted to have a rocking chair, didn't you? I haven't set it up yet, but look, I got it for you."
Hello! Dad, thank you! This is mine, right?
this is for everybody.
I understand, but I'm not going to get off this chair once I sit on it.
My father explained the details of his redecoration proudly. He told me that he only did the living room this time, but he's going to redecorate all the rooms. He sure had become more active. There were some parts about the redecoration I didn't like, but I still thought it was great because it made him happy. I found the old furniture outside in the yard. Are you going to throw them away? Yeah, I think we should. The delivery company's going to come up later to pick them up. Getting rid of the old furniture means putting an end to my mother. I hated the furniture because it smelled like my mother, and I tried to break everything once. I understand why my father wants to take this opportunity to get rid of them, but for some reason, this new living room makes me feel like I no longer belonged here. My father didn't choose the new furniture. Rena probably did. Most likely, my father and Rena decided to redecorate the living room and went to a furniture store to buy everything. I try to think positively. The reason why my father didn't tell me about the redecoration was because he wanted to surprise me. No, my father never really considers things that deeply, so I suppose he didn't tell me because he just didn't think he needed to tell me. I'm sure he didn't redecorate the living room to make me feel like I was no longer welcome. Don't be negative, Rena. My father didn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't want to get rid of me. He doesn't think I'm the reason he can't get remarried. And yet, why did I feel sad looking at the old furniture in the yard? Why did I feel like I didn't belong? I realized the reason right away. That reason was me. Him wanting to have a fresh start by getting rid of the things that reminded him of my mother might be an indication of his unconscious desire to get rid of her daughter. My father doesn't really consider things deeply, so he might not be thinking I'm the reason he can't get remarried, but he understands that he can't get remarried while we live together. By staying with him, I'm torturing my father. It was my fault he had to get a divorce. That's why I have to support him to help recapture his happiness. I couldn't just keep him all to myself. I have to start thinking about living on my own. I don't need to go to university. I should think about getting a job. Who would hire an uneducated girl like me? Even if somebody did hire me, I wouldn't be able to earn enough money to live on my own. Maybe I should think about working as a hostess club like Rena does. People only choose the jobs they can. A girl like me doesn't have a lot of choices. Not a lot of companies would hire me or pay the amount of money that I need to live on my own. But, come to think of it, where is the place where I belong? Whenever I end up feeling like this, I miss my secret hideout in the trash piles. I love to get under my blanket and feel the warmth on a cold night. The hideout gets hot and humid during the day and very cold at night. It's not a very comfortable place to spend time in, but it might be the place where I can relax the most. More than at my house. No, I shouldn't think like this. I shouldn't think that my house has been invaded by Rena. I should thank her for making my father happy. Rena isn't trying to kick me out of the house. She's trying to get along with me, but I'm not opening my heart to her. I'm the bad one. I'm the bad one. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Satoshi and his aunt didn't get along at all, and she abused him for a long time. Compared to him, my situation is a lot easier. Sadako and Rika lost their parents, and they live together now. They've been through very hard times. On the other hand, I still live with my father. I should feel blessed. I shouldn't think I'm unhappy just because of these things. I am happy. I am blessed. The trouble with me is that I still can't admit that I'm happy. My father kept talking proudly about the redecoration. I nodded at him with a big smile and let him keep at it. Oh, I almost forgot. Reina, can I ask you for a favor?
Sure. What is it?
I ordered 2 jackets from the clothing store. It seems like they came in today. I have to help the delivery company pick up the furniture, so can you get the jackets for me?
Sure. Which store is it? I wonder what kind of jackets you got. I can't wait to see them. No matter what they look like, I'm sure Rena picked them out for him. Although I don't mind going. I'd rather go to the store than listen to his stories about the redecoration of our living room. I got the receipt and asked him where the store is and changed my clothes and left the house. I started pedaling my bicycle and looked at the old furniture in the yard for the last time. They used to be my object of my hatred, but for some reason, they now made me feel sentimental. because I still regret the loss of my mother even though I hate her. I couldn't let the poisonous emotions take over my heart. I understood that in my mind, but I just couldn't get rid of the feeling. The old furniture wasn't the only stuff that was kicked out of the house. There was also a lot of junk that I brought home from the landfill. My father was probably going to throw that away too. He doesn't like the junk I collect. He'll probably let the delivery company take it all together with the old furniture. Just like an animal that runs its scent on its home in order to feel secure. I collected all the junk in order to make sure I could stay here. No, that's not it. I wanted to bring them to my house because they were abandoned by their former owners, and they needed a place to live.
Oh, Rena. But I think about it, there are kind of things that I relate to in that sense. When I think about it. Anyway.
The store where my father ordered the jackets from is a fancy boutique. It's hard to believe my father would shop at a store like this on his own. I could tell right away that Rena took him there. I handed over this receipt to the cashier. A short time later, the store manager came out wearing a perplexed look.
Ryugu, I'm very sorry, but it seems like the truck carrying your jackets is still stuck in traffic. It should be here soon, though.
He said that the driver called a while ago and told him he was just off the highway and would be there about an hour. I didn't need to know all the details, but he explained them to me anyway. I asked if I should come back tomorrow. He insisted I should wait because the truck would be coming shortly. He urged me to take a seat on their sofa. But I didn't really feel comfortable waiting there, so I told him I'd be back soon and left the store. I wonder if there are any fast food restaurants nearby. I might have to go all the way back to the station. I looked around and found a coffee house. The glass in the door was black, so I couldn't really see inside, but there was a poster saying the price for a cup of tea is lower than normal for women on weekdays.
Huh? They have that? But anyway, I have to say, there's one thing I want to interject. Because, like, how Rena, I noticed how Rena takes, like, her junk and that makes her feel like that. I think I do that too, but with different objects or stuff. So I think I understand where she's coming from. And there are people who think that what I do is also unusual. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, so you're not going to know that much about me, okay?
I'd just be going to get a cup of tea to kill some time. It should be okay. But still, I hesitated to go inside before opening the door. Her first impression of the coffee house was the smell of cigarettes. It's known for coffee houses to be filled with cigarette smoke. It's like a requirement, but Rena still regretted her decision. While she was thinking about leaving, the proprietor spoke to her brusquely and showed her to her table. Rena gave up on the idea of sitting and sat down. The atmosphere in the shop was far from a clean, normal coffee house where you go to simply enjoy coffee and cigarettes. It was more like a place where vulgar people would come hang around. Rena didn't feel comfortable at all, but what bothered her the most was the laughter of a man and a woman sitting together in the back of the shop. Her table was behind a planter, so depending on how one looked at it, one could say she was in the spot most protected from their laughter. But Rena looked as though she wanted to leave as soon as she finished her tea. The bell hanging from the entrance door rang, letting her know a customer just came in. It was a little surprising for her that a coffee shop like this could draw in so many customers. Rena peeked at the newcomers from behind the planter. There were two of them. They looked like vulgar men, the kind you didn't want to get involved in with the instant you saw them. The proprietor tried to show them to the table, but they ignored him and walked toward the back. They walked up to the couple, who had been laughing loudly, and greeted them with a bow. "Hey, you finally made it! Sit down!" The couple stopped laughing, and the man told the newcomers to sit down in a threatening tone of voice. As instructed, the two of them took a seat. "So what happened?" "We're very sorry. We tried to..." "Got it, dipshit. Just hand it over." The two of them looked at each other before they each took an envelope out of their pockets and put it on the table. The man roughly grabbed the two envelopes and tore one of them open. Inside were many wrinkled 10,000 yen bills bound into the bundle of a rubber band. He opened the other one to make sure it also had cash into it and threw it to the other woman. "Count 'em." "Hey, don't order me around. This is originally my money, you know." "Shut up! Just count 'em." The man yelled at the woman.
She licked her thumb, looking annoyed, and started counting the cash expertly. The two newcomers hung their heads while she counted. Lighting a cigarette, the man waited her to finish her counting. "Good, it's all here," the woman said after flicking through the last bill. The newcomers looked relieved. The man, however, didn't look satisfied as he stared at the bundle of bills that the woman was holding. "Ritsuko, how much is there?" "What? I told you it's all here." "I'm asking you, how much is that?" "I told you all the money I lent them." "No, idiot! I'm asking you if you pay the interest." The man and Ritsuko yelled at each other. Even though they were all making that noise, the other customers acted like they didn't hear anything. "Hey boys, there's only 2 mil in here. What's going on?" The two of them were trying to find some excuses to make. It seemed like this behavior had touched the man's nerves, as he started looking furious. "The fuck is this? I asked him what's going on! You better stop talking!" Oh my god. His angry voice echoed through the shop. He hit the table hard and dropped the glass on the floor. The noise thickened the tension in the atmosphere. "We're very sorry. Being sorry doesn't forgive her the interest, does it? I don't mind calling the police to solve our problem, you know." "Please don't!" The two newcomers must have been in an extremely vulnerable position. They bowed so deeply that their foreheads almost touched the table. "I called y'all here because I thought you wouldn't want me involved with the police, but then you act like you don't fucking care, hmm?" "We're sorry, we're very sorry." While you could pity them, the newcomers looked as vulgar as the man threatening them, making it hard to decide whether you should feel sorry for them or not. After a while, Ritsuko opened her mouth as if to offer them help. "Ted-chan, don't be so mean to them. I'm sorry. My guy gets very mad easily when money's involved." "You don't have to add the money part. I'm getting tricked because they're bitching at you." "Jeez, saying those stupid things won't get you anything." "Ew." The man pulled Ritsuko roughly into his arms and frantically kissed her lips without caring about the other customers. Their kiss wasn't like the normal, lovely ones that normally couples share. They're looking seen instead. He let her lips to take a break and kissed them again, and repeated like that for a while. After a while, he finally got bored in kissing and let her go. Ew! He gets really mad when it comes to me, too. He's impossible. "So what? This woman's like a heart of my blood. When he turned on her means when he turned on me. We were trying to do that to for a blood. I'm sorry. No, he's gross." "Do you remember the guy with the comb over? I forgot what you did to that guy after you took him outside." "I remember him. He challenged me, wanted to take it outside. He said he did karate, so I got a little excited to see what he had. I punched him in the stomach, and he just kneeled on the ground. I was disappointed, so I took off." Ew! Ew! Fuck off, Teppei. Yeah, guys, this is Teppei Hojo. Fuck off, man, you fucking weirdo. I deserve a reward for that, not fuck off. Fuck off. I can't believe you made him do that. You're so gross sometimes. They started laughing loudly like they were doing earlier. Their laughter obviously intimidated their companions. "Listen, you two. Tetsu's actually in a very good mood today. Usually he'd start yelling, 'This isn't enough money,' and you'd be thrown into the Oji River naked by now. We truly apologize for the inconvenience." "Well, you forgot about the interest, but you did put all the rest of the money and time. I'm impressed, so I'll be nice to take that into consideration." I can't. I hate this guy. "Anyway, his interest rate is a little high, but it's only 5 that you paid today. If you wait even a day longer, it'll be doubled. And if it's doubled, I don't think you'll be able to pay it no matter what you do. So I'm going to make you a deal. Ted-chan, could you give him a minute?" Sure, I guess it's okay." The man left the table with a grin and headed for the bathroom. He was far too amiable to that request, as if they planned for him to leave that table at that moment. Ritsuko made sure he was in the bathroom and took some papers out of her bag and spread them on the table. "You're young. You don't want to ruin your life because of an outlaw like him, do you? So I recommend you play all the interest today. If you do, you can cut your ties with him." We understand that, but we can't get 5,100 yen just like that." "I understand. I bet you tried really hard to collect that 2 million yen. I understand there's no one who'd help you out with another 500,000. Oops. Yeah, okay. They must have done their very best to collect even the money they brought today. So it must be impossible for them to collect even a dime from anybody now. They hung their heads and told her that. However, take a look. I made this for you. The guys looked at the paper on the table and muttered under their breaths. You don't need collateral or joint guarantor for this, so the interest rate is a bit high, but with this you can take a loan out of 500,000 yen right away. Even this interest rate is a lot better than Tetchan's. What do you think? It'd be easy for anyone to guess what Ritsuko was trying to force them to do. If you show him this with your signature on it, I'm sure he'll let you off. It's your choice, though. If you need a pen, you can use mine. Here. They read the small print on the documents and were stunned by the outrageous interest rate. Ritsuko didn't force them to do anything. She just looked out the window and smoked her cigarette. After a while, the man returned from the bathroom. Hey, did you come to an agreement? They looked at him, steeled themselves, and took the pen. I don't like him. I'm sorry. They're going to borrow money to pay your interest. It's only 500,000 yen, so they pay their debts soon if they work really hard. That's great. I'm impressed. Men get tougher when they have something burdening them. They must have planned this from the very beginning. The man and Ritsuko got what they wanted and grinned at each other. There are many things to fill out in the document. It was taking them a long time. The man and Ritsuko, already knowing that, started talking amongst themselves. Ritsuko, how's your husband Hinamizawa doing? What? He's not my husband. What's going on with him? I heard he has a lot of money. How much do you think you can squeeze out of him? Well, you'll be surprised. I heard his ex-wife gave him a settlement when they divorced, right? But I just found out she gave him a lot. How much is a lot? Here's about 50 million yen in the bank. He's a big spender. Wow, that's real big. So how much do you think you can squeeze out of him? He has a big crush on me. He buys me anything I want. Anything. He's not cheap like you. I might get serious about him. I don't think so. You're... Ew, ew, ew. Ew! No! Stop it! Not here! Not this shit! Come on! So what's the plan? I'm thinking about telling him I need some money to get rid of my ex-boyfriend. How much are you gonna ask him for? She whispers into his ear. Wah! You're a scary woman. Let me know if you need an actor for your play. I'll be your scary ex-boyfriend. Oh, God. Excuse me. We finished. Great! Then, let's bring it over to the loan company. Ritsuko, take care of the check, would you? The man pat them on their shoulders and then walked to the door. Another person was just about to enter, and they nearly ran into each other. The man probably wouldn't make it way for this person considering his personality, but when he noticed who that person was, he stepped aside. That person looked as vulgar as all the other men. He was wearing a black suit with sunglasses on. He wasn't that big, but his stern look was very intimidating. It was very clear at a glance that he was a gangster and a professional one, and that the man who was behaving badly earlier looked a little nervous in front of him. As Ritsuko finished paying the check, she noticed the man in the black suit. Oh, General Manager? Good morning, sir. The man in the suit said nothing. He just raised his chin as if saying, fuck off. Ritsuko and the others just bowed to him and left the shop in a hurry. The proprietor noticed the man in the suit, also greeting him with a bow. Who could he have been? He appeared sedate compared to the other men, but he must have been dangerous because he made them step aside. Everybody in the shop thought the same thing and tried not to look at him. The man in the suit looked around and found the menu on the wall. The proprietor walked up to him hesitantly. Hey, waiter. Yes, is anything bothering you, sir? Do you have this seasonal dessert? Sweet something or other today. Huh? Oh! No, actually, we aren't running that today, but, well, if you insisted, then we could make it specially for you. If you're not selling it, you're not selling it. I'll come back some other day. Hey, Kasai! He said he'd make it for you! Take his offer! We came all the way here! The girl seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the heavy atmosphere in the shop. She came in laughing cheerfully. It was Sonozaki Mion's twin sister, Shion. Shion pushed Kasai into the store while he hesitated. She looked at a girl who was sitting down and stopped her in her tracks. Huh? Oh, it's you! Hello! Rena! How are you doing? You waiting for someone? Is it my sis? Or maybe it could be Kei-chan?
Shi-chan, who is this?
Are you talking about Kasai here? He's like my bodyguard. He protects me when my life is in danger, won't you? I'll give my life for your sake, if that's what you want me to do. Wow, Kasai, if you're 20 years younger, I might have fallen for you. He looks scary, but he's a very funny guy. This is Riku Rena. She's Sis's friend. My name is Kasai. Nice to meet you.
Kasai, do you know the people who just walked past you?
Kasai nodded, indicating he was familiar with them. Who are they? I've never seen them before. The man is Hojo Tepe, a skunk of a human being. She didn't seem to know who he was once she heard the name Hojo.
And the woman?
Mamiya Rina. I believe that's her business name. Her real name is Mamiya Ritsuko, I think. She's a hostess at Flower Road.
Kasai, do you know what he is to her? They look like a couple to me.
Hojo is Rina's pimp. They're very, very bad people. You should never get involved with them.
How bad are they? Rena pressed him for an answer, and Kasai seemed to be back down a little from that pressure.
It's more courteous to stay out of a woman's private affairs.
How bad are they?
Please don't ask.
How bad are they? Rena kept asking the same question until she got an answer. She sensed how desperate Rena was and cut into the conversation.
Kasai, why don't you just tell her? I don't think she's asking out of curiosity. Am I right, Rena? There was tension developing between Rena and Kasai. Shion seemed to be the only one who couldn't read the mood. Kasai finally opens his mouth. They're both skunks, really. I've heard that they make a living by gambling and blackmailing people. I've also heard they set up their badger games.
What's a badger game?
Well, a badger game is like, marriage fraud? The woman finds a catch, a man who has money, and begins a relationship with him. And then her boyfriend shows up and catches them in the act and blames the guy for stealing his girlfriend and blackmails him for money. First, the woman makes him buy expensive stuff for her, and then she and her boyfriend take off all of his money. There's a rumor that she got herself a big catch recently. Wow, whoever that is, I am sorry for him. Well, that guy had some fun with her too, so I guess he gets what he deserves. That's a little harsh, Shion. A man sometimes falls for a woman very easily. Oh, really? I wonder who you fell for. Waiter, bring the dessert to us, please. Wait, where'd she go? She just took her leave. Rena was already gone. The door, which had just closed, looked as if it was the only thing that knew where she went. Uh-oh. When I got home, the door was locked. I used my key to get in and found a note in the living room. Something's come up, so I have to go. I'm gonna eat out tonight, is what the note said. This wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. Each time he only told me he had to go to Okinomiya for something. But I knew the real reason, because I heard him talking on the phone once. Rena must have had some free time between jobs and asked him to have dinner together. I heaved a sigh, looking at the new living room. I hated it and went to my room. I thought back over what I just heard at the coffee house. I tried to rationalize the meaning of her actions there. Maybe she had to pretend to be a bad person because she was being threatened by the man. But even after the man she called Techan left the table, she continued to threaten the guys and push them to sign the loan contract immediately. If she was threatened to play along with that man, she wouldn't have done that. If she was pretending to be a bad person, she could have shown a little bit of mercy or sympathy when he left her alone with them. It's like holding a water in a bowl that you made with your hands. No matter how sturdy you made the bowl, the water would leak from your fingers. Mercy and sympathy leak out from you. But nothing, not even a drop of water, leaked from Rena. Her hands weren't even moist. They were all dried up. There was no water that would leak through those hands. Rena was threatening those guys as much as that man was. Neither was leading the other along. They were doing it together. That was it. Rena is a bad person.
My brain cells accepted that idea with applause. After all, I always hated Rena. I just couldn't accept the feeling because my father liked her. At that moment, I could finally accept it. She's a bad person just like my mother. She's an existence that'll ruin everything and destroy my father's happiness just by being with him. But I wonder if my father would understand that Rena is a bad person if I told him so. My father likes her so much he'd jump over a cliff if she asked him to. He thinks everything she does or says is great. He interprets everything about her in a positive way. He protects her and praises her without him asking to. I'm not a kid anymore. I understand how a woman can tame a man. It's different from love. Love is about trying to build a relationship. Taming is just a way of satisfying the lust to dominate. She's just trying to make him into her slave. Women can deceive men, even my father. They can use dirty methods to ensnare men like they're following a manual. It's a weak men are born with. Even with a strong will, they can't resist it. That's why we hate those women who exploit the weak men to deceive men. That's why I couldn't bring myself to like Rena. For the sake of the argument, let's assume I acknowledge an unreciprocated love like that. But that would only be as long as it was love. If it wasn't love, if it was just a method to threaten and squeeze money out of him, I would never forgive her. I remember their conversation at the coffee house. Rena said that my father's a big spender. In fact, I think he spends more money without hesitation than before when he met Rena. I was happy he started to regain his interest in going out in the world again. But now, I don't know whether I should be happy or not. He controls the money of the Ryugu family overall, but since I do the grocery shopping, he often gives me his bank book so that I can withdraw money. Because of that, I know where he keeps his bank book, his personal seal, and other important stuff. They're in one of his drawers, which he usually locks. I know where he hides the key, and I know the combination of the cash box inside the drawer. He might be coming back soon, so I felt a little nervous, but I had to make sure. I opened the cash box, which had some bank books, personal seals, stamps, and unused postcards. I removed everything from the cash box to get at the bank books, and I found something new. On the bottom of the box, there was a bundle of new 10,000 yen bills. Its thickness was something that I couldn't ignore. There was also a paper wrapper that looked like it had been bundling the bills. The wrapper had a stamp that said it was a bundle of 1,000,000 yen. He usually kept some cash at home because it was troublesome to go to the bank every time he needed money, but it was usually around 100,000 to 200,000 yen at most. He never kept such a huge amount of money at home before because he knows it's unsafe. The extraordinary amount of 10,000 yen bills was abnormally intimidating. I tried to open the bank book, but my fingers got numb all of a sudden. A part of me was trying to deny the things I heard at the coffee house. It wasn't because I wanted to defend my father or even Rena. It was because I didn't want to believe my father was the husband in Hinamizawa the blackmailers were talking about. I opened the bank book. The last time I saw it, it was about 2 or 3 months ago. It shows countless withdrawals since that day. I probably wouldn't normally understand what those numbers meant, but I felt in that moment as if 10 different digits were speaking to me. They were a series of cruel digits. It started with some understandable expenses that I assumed represented dinners or something. But then the amount of money starts to become nice round numbers, like a 5 or a 10. I could tell by looking at the dates he withdrew money that he wanted to have a certain amount of cash on hand when he went out with Rena. Along with those expenses, a big number appeared all of a sudden. It was too much money to spend on a date, hundreds and thousands of yen. I looked at the date of the withdrawal and I traced it back in my memory. I remembered. Around that time, Rena was talking about moving into a new apartment. I know the market rate of rental apartments in Okinomiya. You need to put down 2 safety deposits and 2 payments of key money in order to rent an apartment. The amount of withdrawal sounded reasonable now. He paid the whole down payment for a new apartment. After that, the big numbers appeared one after another. I could tell that they were for congratulatory gifts for a new apartment or something. The numbers got bigger and bigger. It looked like at first he was drawing with only the amount of money needed, but then he started withdrawing big amounts all at once because he knew he was going to use it someday anyway. The change meant only one thing. He lost his sense of the value of money. The balance kept going down. I started feeling anxious about what's going to happen if he continued spending money like that. And I saw the deposit of a big amount of money into the account. Where'd that money come from? There was only one thing I could think of. I opened the other bank book. It was easy, like a puzzle for kids. It was like playing with an easy jigsaw puzzle that comes with huge pieces you don't even have to put together to see what the whole picture looks like. My father was using money from his time deposits. In other words, the settlement my mother paid and my father when she divorced him. To him, it's cursed money. I understand if he wanted to use it to get a new love, but it was just an excuse to use the money from his time deposits. Money is money. Even though it's his divorce alimony, it's still important money for our future. Even though it's cursed money to him, that doesn't mean he can waste it. Big expenses started appearing one after another. There were many expenses upwards of 6 digits. For some reason, I could immediately tell that they were buying electrical appliances and furniture. He must have been buying everything she asked him to. If from the beginning Rena was only seeing to check if he could end up being a big catch, she must have been trying to find out how much money she could squeeze out of him. And my father bought her anything she wanted, no matter how expensive it was, so she probably thinks of him as some perfect catch now. The numbers in the bank book told me so. The simple numbers and the dates on the bank book had started talking to me. Around the time he started withdrawing big amounts of money, Rena had started coming to the house more often. She started spending the night. To Rena, my father was at first just a guy who spends big money, but around that time, she landed her big catch. My father used to refer to her as my friend Hokinomiya at first, but then he started referring to her as Rena around all the time. This is partially his fault. He was betrayed by his beloved wife, and he was feeling hurt and down for a long time. It's also partially my fault. That's why I didn't want to blame him. And he's not that good looking either. There's no way he's immune to women. He must not have been able to resist an attractive lady who aggressively approached him when he was feeling down. He's crazy about Rena, and he can see nothing other than her. I can't blame him because Rena trained him to be that way. I put the bank books and the other things back into the cash box. His cash box is just like my father's heart. Rena is eating up its contents. What should I do? Dinkarugu Rena. Should I tell him about Rena's scheme? Oh, that probably wouldn't do anything. The whole point of taming an animal is that it won't run away from its owner even when the door is wide open. My father probably won't leave his cage even if I open the door. Should I confront Rena about her plot when he's with her? The results would be the same. Rena would run behind his back. He'd probably try to protect her. If she pressed her breast against his back, he'd protect her no matter what. I couldn't make this a problem between me and him. First of all, I was trying to get rid of Rena for his sake. If we got mad at each other, it would give the advantage to Rena. It'd be like I was putting myself into her trap. Then that meant I couldn't make him do anything. If I couldn't make him break up with Rena, I'd have to talk to Rena directly. So instead of making my father fight, I'd have to fight in his place. But how? That guy Kasai who was with Shi-chan today seemed to know the man Rena was with. I wonder if I can somehow meet him again. He looks scary, but I was introduced to him as a friend of Mi-chan. Mi-chan has a lot of power around here. There's no way that guy would treat me badly. I wonder if he would tell Rena and that man to back off from my father. That helped me a lot, but I didn't know how I could meet him again. I should ask Mi-chan for help, but I don't want him to know about my situation. This is the problem with the Ryugu family. This is nobody's business but mine. Yeah, this is a battle I have to fight alone. I regretted my parents' divorce. I wept about the tragedy I could have prevented if I had tried. I wasn't going to weep this time. I wasn't going to let this chance slip away. This time I'd fight for my happiness. Sorry, sometimes my nose got blocked, so it's a little difficult to read at times. Okay, sorry. Property estimate. New tips. Okay, we're going to stop here tonight after I read this tip. For a lot of reasons. First of all, my nose is blocked and I can't read. Let's read the tips. Property estimate. Dear Mamiya Ritsuko, Executive Housing Corporation. Attached estimate. We thank you for your past visits and inquiries to our office. We include the estimate for the property you inquired about. Basic information. Property name Palace of Versailles, rooms 707. Property code 14M1421. Property type modern condominium. Layout 2LDK. Address Shishibone City, Koiwacho to Chome. Transportation XXX line Gogura Station. 5 minutes on foot.
Cost 49,800,000 yen. Maintenance fee 20,000 yen. Other southeast corner room, elevator floor. Condominium fitness club membership included. Thank you for your interest in this property. The area around Gogoro Station is a prime real estate for luxurious condominiums, along with future plan and developments. The real estate values in and around the Gogoro Station are expected to rise, and this property is not an exception. As a result, many prospective buyers are interested in this property. Hence, we'd like you to understand that the selection process for this property will be done via lottery. Also, we offer celebrity member preferential treatment, granting highly improved chances through additional lottery entries. Please feel free to inquire with our agents for more details. Executive House Corporation. Celebrity Account Manager Kawabata. Okay. Alright, we're done. Okay. I have to go. No, we have to leave! We cannot read! We must leave now! Good night, everybody! Have a good day! I close the stream now.